What are you training for?
Life.
Welcome to Train for Life, a podcast brought to you by ISI Elite Training. I'm Adam Rice, founder and CEO, and we'll be hosting this alongside Amanda Hall, our COO. Tune in weekly as we explore topics on personal and professional development to help you level up in all aspects of your life. We call this Training for Life. All right, so hey, we just got back from Miami from the HYROX. We were the national fitness sponsor, and just such a cool experience. So really over the next few minutes, we're going to break down our experience. Why as a brand did we join forces with HYROX, kind of where they're at, where we're at, what we've seen, and just some really cool stories that we saw while we were there, and then how it's been super beneficial to us as a brand. So I guess let's kind of start there. Like why did we even, when this came across our table, why did we partner on a national level? Because we are the first boutique fitness brand to partner at a headquarter level with HYROX.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think part of this with ISI started even from the interest of some of our locations and franchise partners. Like really, HYROX kind of just came to the U.S. It wasn't even founded in the U.S. So landing here, seeing some interest there, but then really once we reached out with HYROX, we saw that if you're not familiar with what HYROX is, they essentially have a competition of events that happen all throughout the U.S. and actually through the world. They're a global company now, and these events and competitions or races, whatever term you want to use there, essentially you're competing for, in a way, against others in a class, maybe whether it's age group or what level you compete in, but it really is, they view themselves as not just a race or an event, if you will, but a sport.
Yeah.
It's something that you've got to train for. It's challenging, but what we saw is that it really aligned with ISI, not only iron sharpens iron, what we stand for, which I think the grit of that and how that aligns with that is super cool, but it also is staged, and set up for the camaraderie, the spirit, if you will, of sport, which with us being athletic-based training and many of the equipment that we have, the modalities, like everything that we're centering our programming around, we realize really is building somebody up to be a competitor in HYROX. So I felt like from the moment that we started speaking with HYROX and their team alongside of our team, not only were they so impressed with how it aligned, I mean, even down to like our core values and what we stand for and what iron sharpens iron means. But we were equally, I think, impressed and excited to partner with them around something that now our members get to compete, and they have a sport. It's something that if that's something they need to push them, they can really like step into it and compete and train at an ISI and be conditioned for HYROX.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that was one of the missing components or areas of opportunity that we had as a brand was really that performance metric. Because we track and celebrate visits. So around utilization and creating habits there. We just launched a national partnership with Macro Stack. So we have nutrition, right, part of that component. And then obviously the InBody, right? And so I think from that standpoint, it made so much sense. And yeah, I think so much with strategic national brand partnerships, it's about synergies between the two brands, but I think also the leadership team. And I know we just got off the phone with their leadership team and just looking at bigger things that we can do collectively together. So just to give everybody kind of a lay of the land. So at a national level, we partnered with HYROX, and what that essentially means is that HYROX has these affiliate locations that, quote unquote, gyms, we call them facilities, opt into, and they can run HYROX based workouts across the country. And so we really took this at a national headquarters level where every single location, the first Saturday of every month, we're running a HYROX collectively together as Iron Nation. And for us, it's a huge win for our franchise partners because they're not having to pay for this. They've got the ability for their coaches to be engaged with something that's going to push them. Again, what you said as far as alignment between the brands and the modalities of what we're doing. And then I think the really the third thing, right, that we look at it from a national level is there's power in national brand doing something together and not being isolated, right? Where one location's doing it, one location's not. So I think from that standpoint, when we look at kind of let's kind of transition into one big component of that was us being a national sponsor at one of their events with thousands of people. So let's break down kind of that event. Like we got down there, we had what's called a shakeout run, then we get into the event. So I guess leading up to that event, what did preparation look like for us here at headquarters, and what was our goal for the shakeout?
Yeah, well, what was funny is we actually we reached out to our franchise partner, so Evelyn in Miami, right? And we're like, hey, we want to do a shakeout run prior. We've talked to HYROX. They don't normally sponsor shakeouts, so it's kind of like everybody does these events, but we had talked to them and said we wanted to make this the biggest shakeout HYROX has ever seen, and ever, right? Probably couldn't get anybody better though than Evelyn to be like, yes, let's go. She actually was already all over it in a way, and then we turned it into, calling up some partners and then launching this event. And what's funny is like real time, like planning out what are the components going to be of this event for a shakeout, meaning it's a run. We started it at our ISI Brickell location, our Miami location, finished at Brickell. And then on the backside of that, it's, we wanted to fuel everybody up like with cold plunges and just really make it this cool event. And what we thought was going to be a couple hundred people, all of a sudden we were like 500 people registered. Well, we kept building it, right? We started at 300. Yep. And then we we opened up more spots, 400, and then it was like 500. And we were like, holy cow, like the amount of, and it's everybody, it's not just ISI. Like it was the community of HYROX. People were coming and from all over who worked out, not just in Miami, but are not just at an ISI. I mean, they could be working out at an F45, an Orange Theory, or any other brand. But it was really this community of HYROX coming around, and we really put it on. I thought it was awesome. What did you think?
It was, super cool. I think my biggest takeaway from that was, I remember looking in our Instagram the next day, and there was probably like 25 DMs. They're like, "You guys are sold out. Can we get in?" Yeah. And so, I think from that, there's so much power with. I know we talk a lot about it on this podcast, just personal development. I think there's so much power in just going for it, right? And I think that's what we did there. Like we could have had 50 people show up, and we have so many resources tied into it, and different partners there. But I think when you have the level of belief that, Evelyn and kind of the breadth of what she does down there and the spirit that there was for us, it was a no doubt. So I thought it was cool. I mean, I know we were with a videographer, driving from that one location to the other, and just a few of freaking people is so cool.
Well, oftentimes I think you see an event like that and it goes so well, you think it must be great. But in the meantime, we were also setting up in HYROX Village for the actual event day. So we were literally back and forth, like doing everything from, like we had a lot of helpers in the whole mix, but we also were very hands-on, like everything from setting up a backdrop to
setting it up. We lost it.
We did, but then we found it. Yeah. Well, it was never really lost. We just assumed that it was a cold plunge in a box. Yes. That was, if we're real with ourselves. We figured it out.
Breakdown in communication.
We did. We went on an adventure.
Okay, cool. So shakeout run was a huge success. We're there till God knows how late in the morning, setting up at the event for the next morning that kicks off at 6 a.m. So moving into what was your biggest surprise? Because this is, just for context, this is Amanda's and I's first HYROX that we had been at. So we weren't going in with, previous experience of being there or anything like that. So I'm curious kind of what, from the morning all the way to the end of the day, what was your kind of 3-4 biggest takeaways from the event?
Yeah. I mean, for me, first off, I didn't expect the course to have so much opportunity for interaction. So I think seeing the ability you have to get a spectator's ticket, which I didn't realize that till we start start going to this event, and then seeing how they create spaces for spectators to really be engaged in the course and cheer on, you know, whoever they're there watching, but also like people were just jumping in and cheering anybody on. I mean, if you were crushing it or if they knew you were struggling to finish that, it was really, really cool to see that camaraderie come to life. I was really impressed. I mean, and their team obviously does a lot of work to prep for that, but it was really cool to see that, I think. And then frankly, like our ISI, like Iron Nation showed up, right? Like from like the gear that we had, which I know Nick's going to talk a little bit about that, but like creating the gear within, you know, ISI and HYROX collab there for our Iron Nation to rep it and show up, like seeing how we showed up in a big way. I think it was really cool to see that. I think people were really impressed with not only the athletes, which was our members, our franchise partners, our coaches, you know, their teams, seeing them like compete. It was really, really cool to see like how we showed up and definitely stood out, I would say. I don't know. What about you? What was your biggest?
I agree. I mean, I think you see a lot of just the wide variety of people there was, I think, really cool. I mean, we saw anyone from, you know, a guy that had Down syndrome doing it down to, you know, when we were leaving there, God, it must have been 11 o'clock at night and there was still one.
Yeah. You
remember her?
That's right.
She was still finishing and they're starting to tear down. And so I think it really, I feel like it's a lot like ISI. It brings out the best in people, which, you know, I think so often we focus on how different we are and we're all very much alike. And, you know, I think you put people in that ecosystem, it brings out the very best in each of us. And I think that's what you see. And that's why what HYROX does, and I think anyone on their team would probably tell you this, is not anything crazy, complicated, cutting edge or anything like that. I mean, it's literally 8 movements that have been around for years upon years upon years. It's really the ecosystem that they've created. And so to see that in real life was awesome. I think the other thing was, you know, the having members from across different locations not know each other and connect, I thought was really cool. And then you remember the lady that came up to us and she was just like so grateful. She's a member at Miami or at Brickell.
Yeah. She's a founding member. Yeah.
It's her and her husband, right?
Yeah, her and her husband, founding members, and she said, I never thought I could do something. I never thought I would ever be able to do something like this. So, but she came up first to just say thank you for ISI Elite Training, because she said she joined as a founding member. She knew she, you know, was kind of on a journey of you know, getting fit again and wanted to get stronger, and came in as a founding member. And she said, thank you so much for this. I never thought I would be doing something like HYROX.
Yeah, so cool. Essentially, she said something that like it sticks with me today, and it's probably not the thing that I don't know if a lot of people would like pick out as the thing that would stick with them. But she was like, it was when Brickell when that location was in pre-sales. She said Evelyn pulled me off the street and spoke to me, and I just think that's like it's such a moment that. When you have this like core conviction of what you do and how you can impact people, like that moment with us and her would have never happened if Evelyn didn't believe in what she was doing. Right. So it's like, I don't know. It's cool to kind of see how something that in the moment is like, yeah, I just went up and talked to her and told her all about, you know, ISI and but it's like, the trailing effects of what happens to that is really cool. Well,
then we have the whole, I mean, you put that full circle. You've got, now she's seeing ISI Elite Training, not just for Brickell. We had Miami and Dilworth and Sandy Springs, Georgia. So the Atlanta area was there. You had Lexington, South Carolina there, Myrtle Beach there. I mean, when you think about being a part of something that to you has just been the place you've worked out, and now you're competing for the first time, plus you're meeting all these people. I mean, the other thing we didn't mention was the tattoos. Like, I was impressed. I told Nick Day, our director of retail, like, next year our tattoos have to be bigger. I didn't realize, like, for men, they want them to cover the entire back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We did like tattoos. They look good, but I'm just saying, like, next year, like,
gives the whole Gen Z saying of
Atlanta's
big
coming
back, a different. Have you heard that?
No.
So my daughters talk about
What?
that's the new term for fat.
What is it?
Big back.
Oh.
So like chubby, like they're big back. So it gives them, I guess, a whole nother, I don't know.
Well, put a tattoo on it and you're
put a tattoo on a
golden
big
at
back
HYROX.
and you're good.
That's all I have to say. I was impressed.
I thought the other one was homeboy from hopefully we can get I'll remember his thing here, his Instagram, but first one to jump in our cold plunge with a Speedo on.
Oh, that's right.
Gosh, he was from what is that called?
The company?
The show. No, the show.
Oh, yeah. Happened in Charleston?
Nope. California. Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Vanderpump Rules. My guy. I don't remember his name. But he had like 400,000 followers. But they own a company like what was it? It was like a male
Manly.
Manly.
It was a vitamin, like, well, not just vitamins,
Blood
but full,
work
like your
and
blood work, and then
super
it's cool.
So
Yeah.
give them a shout on here too. But no, I think so one of the things that we talked about was really cool was the retail aspect of it. And we launched a line, did incredibly well, and so it was really cool. So I'll go ahead and step out. I'll let Nick come in and speak to some of the retail and what went behind that.
Let's bring him in. All right, guys, special guest Nick Day.
How we doing?
Our head of retail. So let's talk a little bit about HYROX and HYROX swag. Like, what was your biggest surprise with kind of the first rendition of like ISI and HYROX collab?
Yeah. I think biggest surprise was that we definitely could have made more. We could have made more. I think we next year, 2026, the goal would be to maybe do not just one big city collab, but at least a couple. I think that would be cool. But yeah, that was the biggest surprise. It was very well received, which, well, surprised, maybe not surprised, but the level at what it was received was really cool.
Tell them like what goes on, I think, behind that. Like, because that was really, I mean, I guess the part of that was the first time that we really brought a line with, obviously the first time we've done with HYROX, but also like put this out for our members to really be able to like get firsthands to it. Because when you have to think about the component, we have people traveling from not one location, all locations, so making it accessible to everyone.
Yeah, so that was probably the biggest thing. That was maybe our first time we've done a full kind of collab, I would say. Like obviously we've been growing the retail for a while and we've been able to sell across all locations, but that was the first time I think we did a big brand collab where it was ISI times HYROX, which was really, really cool. And that was also the first time we launched a full exclusive online collection, which was really, really cool. So I think like those components kind of tied in perfectly, and it was like the perfect storm for us. And bringing that to Miami, which had tons of members, not just from Miami, there to be able to rock the gear and like have it as their uniform almost, which was really sweet to do.
Everybody should. I thought when you looked at our gear and our line that we put together, it was great because we have people coming up saying like, "Hey, can you guys tell us where the restroom is? You know, and or do you work here? Or you work with HYROX?" And we were like, "No," but I think from like the coloring to how it was all set up, they really did think that. What was your favorite piece that you created through this?
Definitely the Miami portion of it, because we kind of had two sides to the line that we dropped, one being kind of your more classic ISI athlete, and then we did do that Miami specific kind of fun design, which I think that was the most fun part, was how do you tie in another brand that's got, you know, similar characteristics to us. They're worldwide though, and they're up and coming, and they're hungry, and they're young, and like they're very exciting and similar to us. And so it's how do you tie kind of our design and our ethos and what our members want to see and bring it into theirs while kind of keeping the identity of both. That was the most fun part, I would say, for me, in bringing this whole thing together. And like you said, it was received really well, and the people loved it, and that Miami design, like, still wear it today. So
yeah, I would say, I'm going to challenge you because I don't think we're going to be 2026. I think we're going to be this year Atlanta. I think we're going to need a little hot Atlanta.
Do we have another one coming?
They have an Atlanta one coming. So I don't know if we're supposed to share that yet, but if you're hearing it on this and I did it too early, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alan.
News to me, but yeah, we'll make that happen for sure.
Yeah, so
100%.
Atlanta and Dallas. I have a feeling we have some
good ones,
other places coming that we're going to want some gear coming for. But yeah, I thought overall, like, it was really cool to see how it laid out and how our members, I mean, not only were they competing in a sport for the first time, some of them, but they were doing it and then repping iron sharpens iron and where that really they train for it. So as much as like sometimes we think, we know if somebody's wearing your brand, that means something.
Yeah.
And if
100%.
they're wearing it when they're competing in something for the first time, it really means something. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Super powerful tool to see and to use. And like you said, it's how do you get them, our members and our Iron Nation, to wear kind of the mission that we're on. And it's something that, you know, it's a super digital world that we live in, but I think it's still really powerful to have something like as simple as a t-shirt that people can put on and they can feel something. It makes them proud of what they've done, what they're doing, or remember the moment that they had, in this case, like in Miami. So yeah, it's really cool. I think it'll be good.
Okay, if I had to ask you one question in regards to a tattoo, because I already mentioned that the tattoos there were really big.
I heard they were huge.
So if you have to put a big tattoo, if we have to make a big tattoo, like a back tattoo, I can't remember what Adam called that, but the big back tattoo.
Big back tattoo.
What do you think we would put on it?
Today, I would say, I mean, I would go, it's either got to be iron sharpens iron or turf crew, like a big turf crew back tat.
Yes.
I think would be pretty cool. Proverbs 27:17 would also be really cool. Yeah, one of those three I think would be sweet.
All right, you heard it. Y'all have to wait and see what the tattoo is. And I think Atlanta's next. So that's all I got to say. It's coming. Big back tattoo. Thanks, Nick. All right.
All right, so that was exciting hearing from Nick and all that. I think let's wrap this up with, first off, like, if no one has ever even heard of ISI, which they probably have if they're listening to this, but say you haven't been in a location, maybe you're, you know, a granddaddy of somebody's. Just kidding, maybe a friend.
Yeah.
You're supposed to laugh, but that was a dad joke.
Our
that was
bestie.
Not funny. But no, for real, what is ISI? Like, what is our modality of training? What is ISI? And then I think to kind of wrap, like, why is, whether you're a member or, by the way, we're one of the top fitness franchises in America right now, awarding territories for people like you to be an owner and bring a community to your neighborhood. Why would it be a great time right now to open an ISI or become a member of an ISI?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a couple of things. Like, for one, I think we are athletic-based training, but think strength training, which I think the education right now and people understanding the benefit of strength training to, you know, I think gone are the days of cardio, maybe in the traditional sense, right? And I think the education around strength training, regardless of your age, if your goal is body composition or just to feel better, stronger, like what strength training and muscle building does for your body. I don't think it's something you have to prove anymore. I think people want it, and that's really the sweet pocket that we're in today, right? And then, you know, oftentimes if you're like me, like if I go to work out and do something on my own, what would take me 50 minutes in an ISI and get a better outcome, I'm going to spend an hour and a half there, right?
It's called ADD.
Or, yeah, a little bit of that, but also like now you got to figure it out. And even if I'm looking at an app and then I got to find the weights, can I get the weights? Can I get that whatever machine or whatever I have to do? So, you know, for me, I think getting around a group of people that are going to make you want to do it on the days you don't want to do it, a coach that's going to have the room set and turnkey and ready to go and tell you what you need to do.
Yep.
Tell you how to do it. Frankly, most people form and stuff unless you've done this before. So I think a lot of times all the things we're scared of when it comes to starting or working out, or frankly, maybe the things that we want to achieve, we just don't know how to do it, get a different result.
Right.
I think you got to get around a place like this that takes away all those unknowns. And for me, it's good because you flip the switch off. You're in it. Someone's telling you what to do, and you can never get over like a good high five and music and energy around you, right? And I would say then from an ownership standpoint, like you could flip that same thing to say, like, if this is something that you're passionate about and want to be in kind of that wellness space where you're actually making impact, building communities, like that's really what we stand for. You're not, if you're looking in, whether it's, you know, I want to own a gym, you know, maybe that's your passion or something of impact, you know, you want to make sure that you're looking for not only a place like this that we've got infrastructure and support, but also that you're getting into something that, like, it's not like strength training just started yesterday, right? You say this all the time.
Yep.
Like, it's been around for years. We're not doing something, that people don't know benefits them, but now it's the way people really want to train, and everyone can train. I think people are starting to realize, like, it doesn't matter if you're, 20 or 60, and then whether you want to, lift for heavy or you want to go a little lighter on the weight, like, everybody can do the workout in ISI and get that result. There's not a lot of places that are like that, and I think when you're owning something that appeals to such a large audience, like what we see from our member base, like, we do great in a suburban market, and then you've got an urban market, and we have different communities and age range and demographics happening. But the side that we do curate from the Iron Sharpens Iron, the camaraderie, like our core values, our mission, our rise as one, to me, like, if you believe in that, like, that is something that people need. And so it's kind of the ideal time. Like, this is, I think HYROX kind of proves it, right? It shows us, like, this is what people are wanting today, but it's also, I think, the education today. People know what gets results.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you agree?
No, I 100% agree. I think we were at dinner last week with Kyle, who's the founder of Cold Life, and he had said something along the lines is like, right now this industry is exploding, right? Wellness, health, all of that. And I think a lot of people look at it as it's crowded, but the reality is, like, once you know better, it's hard to go back.
Right.
And, whether it's people getting, we were talking about blood work, and that's not something that you just go backwards on. Like, sure, life will happen and you'll get out of a routine, but, like, this is here to stay. And it's really a time of looking, like, what does a consumer want? And ultimately, like, where does the opportunity sit? And so I would say, like, man, there's been no other time in the 10 years since we've been franchising, or 5 years since we've been franchising, but 10 years since I founded the brand, that I would say, like, right now is by far the best time to jump in, just because of what the consumer wants and how we sit kind of in that lane and in that space. And I think that there's a pathway ahead for our brand and also for this industry as a whole.
So someone is like, dude, I love this. I want to be a part of it. I want to know next steps. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. I'd say if you're interested in looking at an ISI that in your market for a membership base, you go to our website, ISIEliteTraining.com, and then go to locations. You'd find the location closest to you. And then same thing, go to ISI. If you're interested in owning, go to ISIEliteTraining.com/franchise and fill out the form. Our team will connect with you to see if it's a good fit, and we'll go through an awarding process. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're looking for brand advocates and people that we really trust to open the brand, and any really good franchise does that. And so you'll go through really this 4 to 6 week process of learning, what does it look like to be an owner? What does it look like? What does the unit economics look like? What does the marketing and infrastructure and operational support look like? And then ultimately it'll land here for confirmation day in Charlotte. You get to hang with the headquarters team and experience it firsthand.
Awesome.
Cool. I would say this, kind of to wrap up here. If you had to, the whole purpose of this podcast was to really educate on why ISI partnered with HYROX, our first experience of that. In one word, what would you say is, when you look at ISI and HYROX, what would you kind of sum up that national strategic partnership in? You only have one word, not 2 words. Put you on the spot here.
The word that comes to my mind is momentum.
I love it. Momentum.
What would your word be?
Big Mo. I don't know.
You have to flip that.
I asked the question. I haven't even thought about it.
Momentum.
Synergy, I would say.
It's a good
one.
Synergy.
It's
a good one.
So, but yeah, if you haven't checked out ISI, ISIEliteTraining.com, follow us on Instagram. We'd love for you guys to follow along our journey. And then HYROX, follow them at HYROX America, at HYROX World. I think they have like 9,000 Instagrams out there. But again, dive in. And just like Evelyn went out and took a risk to talk to that lady that came up to us. I'd challenge you guys, dive in, whatever it is that you feel called to, step into that. Because really the worst thing that can happen is where you sit today. So until next time, we'll see you on the turf.